Well, even while you're going through the difficulty of a divorce, you need to make informed financial decisions regarding the division of the property that you and your spouse have accumulated during your marriage. Retirement savings are one of the largest assets many people own and therefore are an important issue in divorce proceedings. If you're planning to get a separation or divorce and your spouse has an employer-sponsored retirement plan such as a 401k or a pension plan, you are legally entitled to part of the balance. But how do you protect your share? For answers, we turn to Live at 5's family attorney, Sonia Kaufman, and we appreciate you joining us. And this is kind of complicated because most people think men typically know more about the finances than the women do, so a lot of women are left out in the cold and really don't know what questions to ask when they go to an attorney for a divorce.
That's true, and a good attorney should advise the client what to look for and where to get that information. But it's important to identify all the different retirement accounts that exist because sometimes those accounts are with a bank or a brokerage firm as well as accounts with an employer. So the first step is to identify all the accounts that are out there.
Now, how do you find out if you have a spouse that's not too willing to communicate that information to you?
Well, I always advise clients to just look around the house, first of all, for statements, because oftentimes statements come in the mail or in a file somewhere, so take a look and see what you can find. And then beyond that, there are a couple of different discovery procedures during the divorce that the spouse is obligated to tell you what else is out there. One is an inventory and one is through written discovery that the attorney sends to the spouse's attorney.
So probably enlisting the help of an attorney is your best bet.
It would be, definitely, to protect your assets in the event of a divorce.
So let's talk a little bit about the differences in 401k and some of the other retirement accounts that are out there that you are actually entitled to.
Yes, a 401k is what's called a defined contribution plan, and that means that the employee and sometimes the employer will contribute money or stock to an account for the employee's benefit. And that is divisible at the time of divorce by figuring out what is the community property interest in that account, and then the attorney will prepare what's called a Qualified Domestic Relations Order, or QDRO for short, and that is sent to the plan administrator, telling them to transfer a certain amount of that account over to the spouse.
Now, what are tax ramifications in pulling out money early from a 401k?
There are no tax ramifications, just for the transfer with the QDRO. And so if the spouse wants to put that in a tax-deferred account for the long term, that's a great idea. But if the spouse thinks they're going to need the money in the short run, there are tax consequences to pulling it out before age 59 and a half. And that would be a 10% penalty plus the payment of income tax on what comes out. So it's not a good idea to get it out early if you can avoid it.
And other things that they could do is possibly ask for different assets as opposed to part of the 401k, and it would balance out.
Yes, if the spouse thinks they're going to need the money before retirement, it's a good idea then to ask for something else rather than the 401k.
All right, Sonia, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and answering our questions. And if you'd have a question about family law, let our attorney answer your questions. You can fax those questions at 892-7305, or better yet, email them at laf@kfdm.com. And next month, we're going to talk about social networking sites and the impact it has on divorces.